You can't bullshit your way to become disciplined.
Today, we are very lucky to be here with Ankur Warikoo, India's top content creator and serial entrepreneur with a hugely successful exit at Nearby.
The pro is the amateur who showed up every day. Roger Federer was not born Roger Federer. He became Roger Federer from where he was as an amateur with all his weaknesses and all his misdoings. It's the belief that failure is a muscle, and like any other muscle, it needs development and it needs stress.
You've stated that it's actions, not thoughts, that decide your luck.
Not everyone is an entrepreneur.
I'm glad you said that at the end, because that was kind of going to be the thing I added in, which is that I'm happy that you're giving kind of a realistic picture about the uncertainty, etc. Because I think with characters like Alex Hormozy and those kind of people on the internet, there's a big glorification of the idea, even of the fact that it's difficult, of the grind and this and that. And if you just keep pushing, it'll be fine. And if you keep going. So maybe you could add a little bit more to give a realistic picture of, from your own experience and also just more general experience, what it's actually like starting a company. You obviously have a very long pre-revenue stage with uncertainty. You seek investment. You're not sure if you're going to get it. You have investment. You're not sure if you're going to be able to return on it. So maybe you could give us a more realistic picture of the step-by-step process of actually getting a company underway.
Sure. So imagine a funnel. And imagine a funnel where, of course, the funnel is getting smaller and smaller, more precise, but then that also reduces the probability of success in some way. So right at the top of the funnel is your grand idea. And we all love our ideas. We believe that we are the only ones who came up with that idea one fine morning, when the truth is millions of other people have had the exact same idea. And 1,000 of them are already working on it that you may not be aware of. So we believe that this idea can change the world. So we go on and think about that. And in our enthusiasm and in our optimism, we go to our friends or we go to some people that we know of and say, hey, let's just do this together. And you start jamming together, and you've not run the numbers. You haven't even sat down once to see what it means from an economic standpoint. Like, how much will it make for you? How much will you have to spend to make it? How much will be left at the end of it? Will it be enough? What all will be needed to make that happen? None of that. It's just blind faith. And you know what? Early on, that's how it should be. Because if you would really sit down, no big idea would ever reach a stage of being worked upon, because almost always in the beginning, it sounds like doomsday. And then you need capital. Capital in terms of money, capital in terms of manpower, capital in terms of infrastructure. And that requires you to be extremely enterprising, because not everyone will have access to money or to people or to infra. So you have to hustle your way through. You have to be very diligent as well as very smooth, very enterprising on how do you get access to that, whether it's startup pitching events, whether it's seeking out founders who want to work for free or employees who could be interns and so on. And then you have to orchestrate all of that to actually make something come out, whether it's a product or a service, and deliver it to the customer. And then you have to make the customer pay for it, not just once, but repeatedly, so that you can make money at the end of that exercise. And in this entire journey, which I've simplified to 1,000th level, you will have to manage people, which is the hardest thing to do in this world. You will have to manage the expectations that investors have from you, your friends and family have from you, your employees have from you, you have from you. And you will always feel the weight of those expectations. You will have to manage all economic cycles that are coming your way, which are completely outside of your control and for no fault of yours, whether it's a pandemic that hits it or a recession or whatnot. And then the fourth, in the middle of all of this, you have to bear the smile of a winner, because everyone's looking at you. Or at least you think that everyone's looking at you. So your employees are looking up to you, because all of their wealth and all of their time and all of their efforts are going in. Your investors are looking at you because you promised them that you'll make a lot of returns for them. Your family is looking up for you because you're going to change the way that the family status is there in society, the world's looking at you because either they want you to win or they want you to lose, but either way. So you are, quote unquote, a celebrity in the public eye, truly falling off an airplane while trying to fix your parachute, hoping that the parachute fixes itself in time. And then when you land in such a way that people are like, oh my God, take my money. This was such a great show. And the odds of all of that coming together, again, as I said, and I don't want to sound a hypocrite because I come from the startup fraternity and everything that I am is because of that fraternity, which is why I say it's not for everyone, because I've seen how it works. I've run funded companies and I know how that is stacked up against you. I'm running a bootstrap company. I know how that works and doesn't work. And I know what you run into and what kind of mental makeup one needs to get there. And the biggest mistake you can make is to read about the success of startups that made it and believe that that is the only truth. So one of my favorite questions for every founder when they're beginning to start is, how come this hasn't happened already? How come this hasn't happened already? Because it starts with the premise that I'm not the smartest person that I know or has lived. So my idea is there, dime a dozen, in the minds of thousands, if not millions of people. And a lot of them are already working on it. And if a lot of them are working on it, how come I don't see it? There has to be a reason. It could be an economic reason, it could be a regulatory reason, it could be a consumer demand reason, it could be a consumer demographic reason, psychographic reason. There has to be a reason why your idea that you are so fascinated by and believe it's the next big idea is not there in the world. And until you don't find the answer to that question, don't move forward. Your only step and effort is to find the answer to this question, because that answer will tell you what you have to fix. It's the same thing. When you look at the survivor stories, you have to ask yourself, who all failed while these survived? Because that story is just as important. If you are just drawn by the success of all the unicorns and you believe that that's the only truth and every startup goes on to become a unicorn and I believe that I'll become one, you're just drinking your own Kool-Aid and you have no idea what the reality is. But if you were to genuinely dig deep and find out, oh my God, for every Uber that I hear of, there are thousands of Ubers that never made it, that means maybe there's even something called luck. Do I want to play those odds? I still may, but I need to know that I'm literally gambling.
For every Uber, there's 1,000 Unters, I suppose. But in your TEDx talk that I watched yesterday, you emphasized that people are what make a company exist, survive, and prosper. And I'd like to discuss this with you, especially in relation to what you just said, because in my experience, it seems that the people in a company, the employees, rise and fall to the level of the system itself. I was wondering if you agree with that or if you disagree with that.
Sure. I do believe with what you said, the systems will define the quality of people and even their mindsets. But the fact is that those systems have not been granted to you. They were also designed by you. And that's where it goes back to that almost circle, if you may, a recursive loop, where people will be the ones who go on to define everything. That does include the founder in the first place and playing the most important role, whether a solo founder or multiple ones. I do believe, for example, the culture of the organization is almost always a reflection of the founder's personality. Very rarely, if at all ever, will you find a startup whose value system and cultural system is different from how the founder is as an individual. You will always find startups reflecting what their founder temperament is. And this then automatically will define what the systems will be, the value system will be, the processes will be. And in that way, you will get to a point where people will know which kinds will win and which kinds won't, and which kinds will get to success and which kinds will struggle, irrespective of the skills that they have. A good example is Amazon again. Amazon has a very, very distinct culture. It's a very 0 and 1 culture. You can't misjudge it. People going into Amazon know precisely what they're getting into. It's a frugal, very demanding, very input-based, very methodical, process-driven organization that's extremely forward-looking and patient. If you're not that kind of person, if you seek variety, if you're more like, let's just go and see what happens and we'll figure it out on our way, you're going to suck at Amazon. It'll be terrible. You may be the brightest person out there, but it'll be a disaster for you every single day because you'll hate to be there. Everyone will ask you, what's your 5-year plan? And you'll be like, fuck 5 years. Let's just do this. Let's just see where we go. Like, why do you want to go and think about 5 years when nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow? No, you'll be an absolute disaster. And that's where people then build what works for that organization. So I 100% think that if you pick the right people up, which are a reflection of how the organizational system, value, processes are set up, it just aligns itself. And that goes back to a ridiculously good statement that Elon Musk had made, which is a company is the sum of all the vectors in the organization. What I mean by that is, and sorry, it's a little geeky, and that's why I trip over it as a physics student or an ex-physics student. A vector has a speed and a direction. It's not just speed. So it's not that you're going at 100 kilometers an hour. Sure. In what direction? Because if Ollie is going in 100 kilometers an hour north and Lucas is 100 kilometers an hour south, the two of you cancel each other. You don't add up.
Want your head and hair to feel cool and clean? Been going to extreme measures to cool your head off? Then get yourself a Manscaped. Don't be like Ollie and take your scalp from 0 to hero with the new scalp buffer now. Use the discount code LOAF to get your 20% off.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that short clip from our interview with Ankur Warikoo. If you want to see the full interview, click right here. But most importantly, don't forget to like and subscribe because that helps us to keep getting guests like this and keep bringing you good content. See you guys next time.